Hi guys, I'm Emperor Ing and welcome to my first video on the collaborative ONM YouTube channel. On my slot, you're going to see a variety of topics such as games, anime, manga, the odd comment about Doctor Who, and more importantly, gaming from the side of the programmer. Oh yes. Okay, so short introduction and we'll launch straight into this week's topic. The greatest game of all freaking time! This topic was inspired by my recent games design seminar, and we discussed what may be the greatest game of all time, basically. And it's an interesting topic, so I thought I'd use it as a good starting point. So, when you think of the greatest game of all time, what do you think of? Ocarina of Time? Mario 64? Perhaps even WoW? A Final Fantasy? Mario Galaxy 2? Perhaps Half-Life 2? But whatever you choose, there's one problem. It's your opinion. Your opinion. That really is the difficult thing with games. What you think is good, someone else might think, well, totally rubbish. We also have to consider how games age as well. For example, some games age well, some age badly. For an example, I recently played GoldenEye at a University Society meeting, and while fun, the graphics have aged badly compared to modern shooters, and I found it very limited by the N64's controls, actual pad, of which I now hate. I don't find it a very good pad compared to modern pads. Seriously, why stick analog stick right in the middle of a bulky controller? Not one of the best design points of that console. Anyway, I thought GoldenEye was outclassed by certain today's shooters like Halo, TF2, etc. A good thing to point out here is the target audience. As most people probably is watching this video probably is age 12 or over, a lot of us would find something like Barbie Horse Adventures atrocious. But a 6-year-old girl likes Barbie, Barbie's really pretty good. Yeah, and that game is actually an inside joke at my uni, so I thought it'd be a good example there. Good old Barbie Horse Adventures. Alright. So, the point is that the greatest game of all time is subjective. So instead of thinking what the best game of all time might be, why don't we look at aspects that good games have that make them good? So for example, things like story. Now, not all good games have a story. For example, some puzzle games that are really good, Original Terrors, no story whatsoever, but still, they're awesome games. But certain genres, certainly RPGs, really can't get away without having an interesting story. Because without that story, you've got nothing to connect the player to the game. So, without that interesting story, it ends up, well, rubbish, frankly. So, next point, graphics. A good game, of course, doesn't need good graphics. Many of the early games were good, but graphics compared to today were quite primitive. For example, just compare like original Super Mario Brothers with the new Super Mario Brothers remakes. The original has relatively poor graphics compared, but the original game is still an absolutely brilliant game in my opinion. So, now something that's, well, quite close to my heart. Sound. Personally, I think good sound and good music can really add depth to a game. And I seriously love a lot of game soundtracks. Metroid, Mario Galaxy, Have to mention Still Alive from Portal. Zelda, the Halo soundtracks always got good reviews and stuff like that. So yeah, games that have good sound can also be good. However, it's not really a necessity. Sure, it adds immersion in that, but you can perfectly play a game without sounds, and many people do, or just stick the iPod on or something like that while playing. It's up to them really. But personally, I like the actual in-game sound. That's just the way I am. The other part that really needs a significant mention is controls. If what you're doing on the pad, keyboard, wheel or control stick doesn't cause a realistic response in the game, it's hard to actually play the game. So many games that are unresponsive or have rubbish controls end up not getting played because you can't actually play them when parts gets too difficult. Not that I've played, but the example I was going to reference is wheel spin. Yeah. But I won't go on this. There's tons more aspects that go to this that contribute to making games good. But I think I've got my point across here. There's no best game of all time, and frankly, just use your own personal opinion, what you find good, and play whatever you enjoy, basically. Because if you don't enjoy the game, there's no point playing it, is there? So yeah, that's all I was going to discuss on this first video, with the conclusion that there's no best game of all time. Yeah, so in later videos I'll be doing lots of different things, and I combine different things together and so on. So I hope you've enjoyed this insight to the best game of all time, a hotly debated topic. And yeah, I'll see you next time.